You know, sometimes it's fun to just sit naked in a beanbag chair and play video games with all the lights turned off.
Velour or leather?
Well, see, leather's awfully slippery, but it could be
I
sticky
find it
too if
sticky.
you're sweaty. What is up, everybody? And welcome to the Silent Part, episode 5. Should have been episode 6, but your boy had some technical difficulties with, things and stuff and things, because that's what they do. I am your host, as always, Fortaelle, along with J3st3r IRL. Jester.
What's up, everybody?
And this week we are talking about things that, a couple things we might not have business talking about, but really a couple things that we do also. So, hopefully you guys enjoy what we have for this week. Nothing too crazy this week, right, Jester? Nothing.
It's kind of amazing, insane. Actually, that it's just some normal Silent Part kind of shit. It's not anything super that we have to get into, and thank God we're not talking about ice again this week. I mean, I'm sure we could if we wanted to, but we're just not going to do that this week.
I mean, I'm
sick of the topic.
The brief ice blurb of that lady who tried to burn down the warehouse down in South Kansas City. But other than that,
that one. I hope she gets caught and put in jail. That was ridiculous, and that's after the deal had already fallen through. So that's somebody that doesn't even know what's going on around them, trying to be performative, and it's ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. There's actually been quite a bit of shit going on in Kansas City the last couple of weeks with the ICE thing, and then that happened because of the ICE thing, and there was a teacher or a school board member somewhere in Olathe that put out an alert that ICE was in the area. Like, there's shit going on in town, but again, I don't want to get into that this week. I don't want to say we've beaten the topic to death. It's just that it finally had a slowed down week this week. Yeah. I think we should respect that and try to come out the other side talking about some other topics that are a little more pressing in our current situation, current week. Shall we just get started with things making noise?
Oh,
wow, it's like the Dollar General sound effects. I love it.
Hey, I'm still getting used to the new editing program, so in case I can't find sound effects.
Fair enough. Well, I wanted to start off this week talking about gaming and kind of the state of gaming and the state of a certain game that just came out and how I'm going to relate it back to another game eventually. But if you want to go ahead and bring up my X account, I want to talk about Highguard. Because Highguard is a game that released January 26th of this year. So we're not even a month into its life cycle. And pretty much Wildlight, the team that made the game, has laid off pretty much all of their developers. The game has failed. Completely and utterly failed. Now, for those that don't know, this post or this game was the final game that was revealed at the Game Awards in 2025, so just a month or two ago. And Jeff Knightley, whose post you see here, he's the guy that runs the Game Awards. So he enjoyed playing this game. He thought people would get a kick out of it. They didn't have $1 million budget to bring it out. So he gave him a spot, really a pristine spot, being the last game announced at the Game Awards. And the game absolutely flopped, like legitimately flopped. It started off with like 96K concurrent on day one. And within just a couple of days, it was down under 10K. People just weren't playing the game. They would log in. They tried it. Apparently, it's a free-to-play game, but it does have microtransactions.
Okay.
And apparently, people were logging into the game and just not liking the gameplay and just not coming back. I saw some reports of people saying that the optimization on it, the matchmaking, a lot of that kind of stuff that makes or breaks launches these days was just horrible. It was just terrible. You couldn't even find a match after sitting waiting for queue for 30 minutes. And that's not something gamers are going to do.
No.
Besides that, Highguard was a hero shooter type game. And I don't know why developers seem to constantly think they need to continue to make these kind of games. The market's completely saturated with this type of stuff. The reason Arc Raiders was so successful, it's not a first-person hero shooter, but it's got different game mechanics in it that people enjoy. Like it's not just your run-of-the-mill hero shooter like a Valorant or a Call of Duty or a Modern Warfare. I guess that is Modern Warfare, but you Battlefield, that kind of shit. Fortnite, if you want to go that far. And this game was released against all of those kind of games. And if it doesn't run great on day one, it's going to get made fun of. It's going to lose its player base. And it did. And before we get to the actual showing of how it lost its player base, I want to bring up a couple of other situations here to where, as it was released, the developers released this statement that said, "We don't need player counts to be super huge in order to be successful." And as this user points out, turns out you do need players for a game to be successful. And here's the problem. And let me see if I can highlight this one without giving up too much shit here. Without giving up the ghost. Here we go. So one of the developers made a big, long, giant post the other day about their feeling on the game and how, it's the gamer's fault that this game has failed. Basically taking no accountability and saying, okay, maybe we shouldn't have made a shooter, or, okay, I get it, maybe we should have tried this, and taking the feedback, and trying to become better from it. Instead, we're going to talk a little bit about toxic positivity, which is such an interesting term to me, because this is exactly what it is toxic positivity. When the other people around you are just glazing your dick, right? You're never going to know that something isn't right. This is why games journalism is so bad these days, is because they so want to get a story out there that just rings the bell for these other games. Like, Marathon was a good example that absolutely flopped after just a couple of days because it was kind of a woke title and people weren't into the woke title. They wanted to make a game for a modern audience, and it's like, that's fine, that's your right, you can do that. But when it was rejected, they came out and said, oh, this is all because gamers don't want to see the woke stuff. They don't want to be the modern audience that we want them to be. So this particular developer said that all the things surrounding the team were, this is lightning in a bottle. I trust this team wholeheartedly. If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried that will fail, it's yours. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this game all day. And instead of being objective, which is how I've always tried to be with how I talk about games. When something's good, I'll say it's good. But when something's bad, I'm going to call it out. And I've taken hell for that over my career. But that's what you have to be able to do. You have to be able to see both sides of an argument, or both the good and the bad in something, in order to actually give it a proper rating. And this is what toxic positivity is. It's when the people around you are just basically not giving you the whole story. Or they're not looking at it objectively to where they can give you the right kind of feedback so you can make changes. And I don't think, unfortunately, this is kind of where game dev stuff is at this point. And they need to, it's not all game devs, right? But there's a lot of them that seem to think
that just
you'll
because
own
they
nothing
make
and
it,
you'll like
everybody,
it.
yeah. And just because they make it, everybody should play it.
Correct. Simply making a game does not guarantee you a player base. End of story.
Same thing as making content. Same thing as making a song. Just because you make it doesn't guarantee anybody's going to see it or touch it.
Correct. And that's kind of what they're getting at with this. And they didn't take that to heart is mostly what it is. So this guy made this big, long post, and he was taking shit, basically, going, and people in the comments that I saw, and I say saw because I can't see them anymore. I'll get to that in just a second. But some of them, of course, were being complete assholes. Like, it's the internet. That's how that's going to work. And then some people were being, realistic, saying, hey, look, take the L, understand that, where you went wrong with this, and move on from it, be better. And as it turns out, it appears that this person did not want to do that because Josh Sobel, that person that made,
account.
He deleted his whole entire account. And let me be honest with you here. Nothing says I have a point when you're complaining that it's all the gamer's fault and this and that, other than nuking your account, right? Like, come on now. It doesn't make any sense. And if you want it to make sense, go ahead and bring up the graphic for Highguard. This is the SteamDB chart for Highguard. And this is not a healthy look whatsoever. You can see that there's a lot of negative experiences just in the original stuff. And if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see that this isn't a healthy curve. It's just, that's not a healthy curve. That is the death of a video game.
That is what we call lamp deck.
That is the death of a video, right? That's the death of a video game. That's the death of a song. It's the death of any type of stuff that you're going to put out there, is where it just absolutely flatlines and it has not gone up. And that is today's chart. I had a chart in our chat here for this show from a couple of days ago, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't from a couple of days ago. This is the current numbers as of right now at time of recording. And this is, when you start off at 96,000 players, you've got every possibility in the world of succeeding. But when you can't hold your player base for 3 days, something's not right. The developer should have come out with a statement going, okay, what can we do to fix this? What's going on? What give us your feedback. What are you seeing here? What can we do to make this right? And instead, they let it free fall to almost nothing, and then it goes across the board. Of course, there's going to be white knights, and those white knights are that little line that you still see because the game isn't at zero. There's, between 1,000 and 2,000 people that are still playing this game. Those are the white knights that'll stand behind this game at anything, and they're going to be a loud minority. They're going to be very loud about it, saying the game's not that bad. You guys just didn't give it a chance. And to some extent, you can listen to some of that, but when it's 2,000 versus 94,000 that quit the game and never came back, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Now, one of the things that they mentioned was there just wasn't much content in this. And if you want to bring up the No Man's Sky chart, this is how I'm going to bring a different game into this conversation. Because No Man's Sky had one of the worst launches in known history. That's a meme.
Nope, you didn't see it.
No Man's Sky had one of the worst launches in gaming history, to where the hype was unreal and the delivery was terrible. And it was terrible for quite some time until they started seeing little blips to where the numbers would go up and then they would go back down within a month or so. This is the all-time chart on SteamDB. Now, granted, this isn't the full numbers for the game because it is available on PlayStation and Xbox, and it's available on Switch, but Switch doesn't even, I think Switch just got the last update like yesterday or day before yesterday. So like it's way behind when it comes to the updated versions, but it is available on other platforms is my point. I'm just using Steam as kind of the default here. And what you're going to notice is in these charts, there's a ton of peaks and valleys. What these peaks and valleys are is update releases, because people want content. In this day and age, people want good content. And if there was good content to be had in a game like this, these peaks would last longer than they do. So even though this is still a healthy game, this game usually retains, I'd say on average, about 10,000 players concurrently on Steam, which is not bad. I mean, it's pretty good. It's not great, but it's not bad. The way I can relate it is when somebody comes in and Hello Games, who makes No Man's Sky, is heralded as the second coming of baby Jesus, right? Because they stuck with this game over the years. They stuck with this game over the years through all the stuff. And to their credit, they did do that. 100% they did that. They didn't just let it go. They didn't do a money grab. They stayed with the game. It's a labor of love to them, and I get it. But when you put something out and you hype it up to the highest levels, right? And then you see within less than a couple of weeks that number start to dwindle again. and it goes back down to your median usership, that means there wasn't much content to be had in those releases. And that's what you see with No Man's Sky. With Highguard, they put out stuff, and it just never, it didn't pan out.
Yeah, that was a drastic drop. I'm curious why it was so.
Because it's fatigue. People are just tired of that hero shooter genre. There's too many of them available. You know, there's nothing cutting edge about any of those. There's Marvel Rival. Like you could name them over and over again.
There's too many.
And some of them do it fairly well. That people are very much into the game, and it is what it is. I'm not a PvP guy, so it's really not a game I was ever going to look at. But at the same time, I feel like because I understand fatigue and how gamers act and what gamers want, then you can't just blame the gamers for this.
And Highguard,
No Man's Sky never once blamed the gamers. They were like, "Yep, we fucked up," and they've kept working on stuff. This game is 10 years old, by the way. So at this point in No Man's Sky life cycle, they're not going to come out with some groundbreaking new content for No Man's Sky, which is what it would take to bring me back.
Is an independent company, basically, aren't they? They started out all by themselves. What about Highguard? Or were they an indie company?
They were former somewhere else. I think they were former Ubisoft, I think. And at least some of them were. So I guess maybe when you come from a big AAA, you've got a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And you think everything you do is going to be gold and your shit don't stink and all that good stuff. The only reason that I'm likening this to No Man's Sky is at least No Man's Sky, when they did put out content, you could see that there was peaks and valleys because people were still interested in the game.
Right.
They wanted to believe in the game.
A fucking drop.
A flat line. It was a flat line. She's dead, Jim. She's dead.
Absolutely.
Like that. Somebody stopped. She's dead already. You know, like that. That's Highguard in a nutshell. Whereas Hello Games has continued to work on their stuff, and I've got my issues with Hello Games, and it's been famously documented on the interwebs, and I'm not afraid of the backlash from it. What I say, in my opinion, is just as valid as somebody that wants to fanboy for them. And my opinion in this case is pretty much correct. You get the tourists that want to love the game that come in, they don't get the content they're looking for, they leave. They come back when there's another update. So you've basically got that 8 to 10, maybe 12,000 player base that is going to be playing your game no matter what. And then you don't retain the players that you get because there's just not enough content for it. And Highguard has kind of fallen into that as well, because I think they released a 3v3 mode or something like that. And it just didn't pull people in because, and I think a lot of the debate these days is because of the art styles and whether or not they're sexy characters and all that kind of shit, which is irrelevant to me when it comes to picking a game. Like, sorry, doesn't matter. To some people, that's of the highest priority. You know, like if she ain't got big gazongas, I don't want to see it. And that's just the brain rot state of the internet these days. But if the gameplay is good, you know, you're first person, you're going to be looking at the other people's characters. So I guess what difference does it make? I don't know. I'm not trying to get into an anime conversation because I don't really watch anime and most of it's fucking despicable anyway. There's some good stuff, but I don't want to have that conversation. But yeah, so as it turns out, a lot of people ended up losing their job. I wish them well, finding more work. But you can't just go off blaming your player base when you had a base and they all left within a day or two. You can't say that it's toxicity. No, what this was toxic positivity that told you couldn't fail. And then you failed, and now you don't know how to handle it. And by deleting your whole account, by deleting your entire existence on X, there's nothing that says I can't take criticism like deleting your entire fucking account. So my guess is this guy, if he's attached to another project, the project's probably not going to do that good because he's going to get clowned out of his fucking clown shoes completely.
Well, you know, maybe. You never know. With
But
how
yeah,
fast
again,
information and stuff moves nowadays, he might be able to disappear for a year and come back and nobody will remember who the fuck he is.
well, I don't see it being that way. People tend not to forget this kind of shit. And if they do,
Hopefully.
the internet's such a place to where somebody will bring it back up and then everybody remembers.
Hopefully he doesn't get involved with a fucking AI company.
Well, I guess that's as good a transition into because AI as we've ever had.
Wow, wow, wow. So, AI, that guy losing a bunch of money. AI, much like what we talked about a few weeks ago, that bubble seems to be creeping up ever closer and closer. A few weeks ago, OpenAI said that they will be bankrupt by 2027 so that they would start running ads halfway through 2026. Well, it is being reported now that people who pay for the highest premium ChatGPT, like $200 a month, are already starting to see ads on their platform. On top of that, one of the biggest AI companies being like, oh, we're bleeding money. They recently, within a couple days, so there's not too much known into how they're going to plan about doing this. But as we all know, there's assloads of AI slop out there, whether it be thoughtful and not really slop, because people who actually take time and do edits and use it as a tool, or people who just, hey, ChatGPT, can you write me a book about how to make my fat go away, and then hit publish on Amazon KDP and are making money off of idiots. So ChatGPT, OpenAI, has now said we would like to collect our back end royalties on that. So
that's rich.
I don't know.
Since they so ethically sourced the ability for this thing to create that kind of shit.
Right.
That's rich.
Right. And none of those writers got royalties from you scanning anything and everything. But now you want yours. And I'm curious how that's going to work, because currently all the AI detectors can be, they can be fooled, number one, and they can absolutely misjudge. I've seen even the top models take something that wasn't AI and be like, oh yeah, that's AI. And then something that was AI and be like, nope, 100% human. So really all we're going off is trusting in humans to disclose whether they used AI or not and how much AI they used. And we all know how that goes. We humans are not very trustworthy. I can honestly say for myself, I try to be as open and honest as I can about whenever I use AI in anything I do. So that's me. But there's a lot of people who, don't want that stigma, and they just want people to think they're so great and da-da-da-da-da. So.
Well, you see it a lot in the art world these days. I can't remember if this was in the Lost episode where we talked about the artists that are getting pissed off about terms of service breaches, and it's like, this is why people go to AI, is because there isn't any of that kind of shit. A good example for me, I for my stream and stuff, it's nothing I'm trying to sell, and I'm not saying that I'm some kind of artist, but I used AI to create some backgrounds and a few other things for the stream, and I don't see anything wrong with that, because in order to get that done by an actual artist, it would have been thousands of dollars, and I paid $40 for a 1-month subscription, and I got my money's worth out of that with the stuff that I got. But that's, again, there's fringe cases, and somebody can come in and be like, oh my God, that's AI. It's like, yeah, so what? If you got a problem with it, go watch somebody else. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it comes down to it. But too many people take it too fucking seriously. Is that AI? No, that's not AI. You must be mistaken. And then it's proven that it is AI, and then they well, I only did it because of this. It's like, no, man, just fucking be upfront about it. Like, who gives a shit? I'm not going to go back to it unless there's some need for it. Ultimately, my goal would be to hire human artists, but I don't have that kind of money right now. And number two, most of the time with those human artists, a lot of them are being real assholes right now about if you own your shit or not.
Yep.
No, we own that copyright, and we're not going to give it to you. If we want to give it to you, it's going to be another $1,000. If you know what, fuck you. Then I'm going to go use AI, and you're going to be out on the fucking floor here, and you're not going to make any money. That's the whole thing is just silly. AI, artists are creating their own fucking worst enemy here by being assholes, and they don't see it.
Yep.
And AI companies are becoming their own worst enemy because there's just too goddamn many of them, and it's a saturated market, much like it is with the hero shooter genre in gaming. And when you've got this many options, not all of them are going to survive.
Yeah, it's impossible.
People are sick and tired of the subscription model. Like, we're getting sick and tired of it.
Yeah. Way past being done tired of the fucking subscription model. I mean,
again, there's good AI is not going to go fully away. Like that's not going to happen. But what will happen is a lot of these fly-by-nights are going to run out of money. They're not going to get the funding they need to stay in business and competitive. That's the bigger issue here too, is to stay competitive. Because when something else new comes out and your thing can't do what this thing can do, you've got to get to that level, which costs money. It costs development money. And if you don't have that capital to get to that level, you're not going to make it. And that's what we're going to see with this. It may not be a quick thing. I hope it's fairly quick, because I'm tired of looking at RAM and SSDs and fucking motherboards and shit being as expensive as they are. But until that happens, it's going to be that way. And you see some of this slop online, and the big thing on X here lately has been, this is why my RAM costs $1,000, and it's literally a cat fighting Godzilla. Like, okay, so you made this. What's the fucking point? Like this is why I have to spend this much money for RAM or for a new CPU or for a new graphics card, is because this is available for you to make a cat fighting Godzilla. I don't understand the point. In certain applications, I do get it. Like, I do get it. The AI can be a very valuable tool. But what it's being treated as now is a replacement for actual content. And hell, I saw a X post just today or yesterday that this guy says, I've got an AI video channel that took me 8 months to build. It's got 300,000 subscribers, and YouTube terminated the channel with no warning. And number one, he was using a lot of Star Wars IP. So that was probably the first thing.
Yep.
Number two, is it the beginning of the crackdown on the AI revolution? Because all he's doing is prompting stuff to make videos.
Yeah,
creatively, it's not working with him.
From what I've seen and what I've heard, because I do my fair end of staying up on the up and ups of what YouTube is doing. YouTube is starting to crack down on 100% generated channels.
I mean, that's basically just printing money by texting.
Whether you disclose it or not, they are cracking down on channels that are 100% AI generated channels, the ones that are just doing the fucking stories from the Bible and just what they call repetitive content.
Well, this guy's channel, he had Palpatine playing the saxophone like that dude from Lost Boys.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Fully clothed, but like you could see him like just, doing the whole little snake movies. Yeah, like, and like it was a bunch of shit like that. And it's like, again, this is why my RAM cost $1,000.
I still believe.
We're gonna get copyright struck. You better stop that. Not that your rendition sounds anything like the original, but
it's close.
Who was that? Tim Capello?
Yeah, something like that.
I think his name was Tim Capello, yeah.
Capello or Contello, something like that.
I think it was Tim Capello. Because remember that AI channel that I showed you that once that had the guy saying I am not that guy because he was
Yep,
another
I'm not that
saxophonist from the
yeah.
yeah. And see, that's where AI can be fun and funny.
Greatest vampire
like-
movie of all times. One of them.
But like this particular channel we're discussing is something I heard one night on a music review show that I was watching on. I was watching it on YouTube, but it's cross-platform broadcast pretty much everywhere. And he came on. He was like, "Yeah, this is my AI project. I put in a particular scenario to AI, and I have it generate a song, and then I give it a backstory, and it's all parody, and it's all fucking fun and games and funny." And it was this particular story was about a guy that played saxophone with his shirt off, like Tim Capello did in The Lost Boys. But every time he would go somewhere and perform, they would all say that he's Tim Capello, and he's like, "I'm not that guy," and that's why the song was called "I'm Not That Guy." And it's just funny, like it's just humor. But nobody ever caught on to that either because it was AI, and that's right when AI was starting to come out as, holy shit, I can't believe that's AI.
That guy knew who he wasn't. He wasn't confused about how he identifies. He knew he wasn't Tim Capello, and he wasn't trying to say he was. He was saying, "I'm not Tim Capello." So it's not like, he was pretending to be Tim Capello in a Tim Capello acting contest, let
me find the name.
Like Charlie Chaplin, entering in the Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. It's not like he was entering the Tim Capello lookalike contest, like some.
For anybody that wants to go check it out, the name of the channel on YouTube is Retro Flops. Maybe we'll put a link in the description. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But it's a funny look at just stuff. It's just funny music. It is all AI generated, but it's just funny shit. And again, people, because it had that stigma of being AI, people never really latched onto it. Had he written it all himself, it would have been a whole Weird Al side quest kind of thing, right? But since it was AI done and he wrote the backstories for everything, it never set its claws in, I guess is the best way to put it.
Man.
And you know what else doesn't set its claws in?
I tried to serve up that transition, and I guess I just missed the mark.
Things that miss the mark just don't get their claws in. You can bring that up anytime you'd like to. This one's a weird one for me, bro. This one is a really weird one for me.
Oh, see, I still saved it. Still brought it back.
This one is a really weird one for me.
We've kind of talked about it a little outside of this episode, and yeah, it's got me confused.
So let me read the post.
On how
the original
feeling.
post is Ellis Lundholm just made history as the first ever out trans athlete to compete at the Winter Olympics. Now, here's the thing. This is a born female competing against females identifying as trans. My problem, it's not really a problem. There's nothing wrong here unless there's testosterone involved, in which case that would be cheating.
Yes.
But if, number one, like there's so many layers to this. This is like a fucking onion, right? So if you are acknowledging that you are a female and you're competing against females, doesn't that automatically make you non-trans? Because trans is transition. So there's been no transition.
I mean, some people do the identify as trans without the transition, but they're usually on hormones of some sort or like in the process of transitioning, or, I mean, there are the few that don't, but yeah, I don't. It's one of those situations that confuses me, and because if she is a female who doesn't plan on transitioning at all, like, no testosterone, no surgery, no nothing, then how can you still identify as trans if you're not,
or a man?
You're not trans. You're not transforming. You're not transitioning into anything. You're just a woman who says I'm a man. And the same thing.
My biggest problem with this,
man who says I'm a woman.
Doesn't this set the movement back like a long way? Because if you are saying, okay, I'm a man, but I'm going to go compete against women because I'm a woman. Doesn't that absolutely nullify all the people out there saying, well, I'm a man, but I believe I'm a woman, so therefore I'm a woman, and you have to call me a woman? That sets that back years at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like it does too.
I don't know how you can be out as trans and still identify enough as a female to compete against females. If you really believed you were trans, you'd be competing against the men. But the problem here is we don't usually see it on this side of it, right? With a woman who becomes a man or wants to become a man or thinks they become a man, what the fuck ever, that identifies as a man. You don't see it very often in sport. It's usually the other way around, where it's a biological male that's transitioning to what they call female, and they want to compete against females because they've got an advantage.
Yeah, like
and in this particular case,
that swimmer.
Correct.
And
Leah Thompson.
Yeah, and that's 100% a case of a man who has no interest, in my opinion, in being a woman. If you look at the track record, that man, all he's ever wanted to do his entire life is be in the Olympics, and he sucks at swimming compared to men. And so he's like, fuck it, I'm going to be a woman. And then all of a sudden he's, gold medal level female swimmer.
But you don't ever see the other way. This is a really rare case where you see it the other way. And by admitting that you're not going to be able to compete against the men, but I'm trans, you have to call me a man, but I'm competing against the women because I'm a woman, that nullifies so much of what the trans ideology is in my eyes.
Yeah.
And that's like, fuck you. You can't even decide what the fuck you are at that point.
It makes the situation more confusing than what it needs to be and what it already is. So yeah, it definitely, I feel like definitely sets the cause back.
And again, I've got no problem with this. This is a female competing in a female competition. I'm just curious as to why they would say they're trans when you're not competing against the men. When you're a biological female competing against other biological females, but you must respect my pronouns. I'm he, him, they, whatever. Don't give a shit. I just don't get it. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And this doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And again, I think it's a pretty fringe, rare type case where this person knew that they weren't going to be able to compete against the men, but they're very talented in the skiing categories. It looks like maybe they're doing freestyle or moguls or something. I don't even know what the category is. But yeah, this is one of those absolute fringe cases where it's a biological female that said, yeah, no, I'll compete against the women, but you have to, I'm trans, so you got to identify me as a man. Well, if you believed that, you'd be competing against men.
Yeah.
And losing your ass.
Or taking hormones, in which case, if you are, you should be disqualified from competing with the women.
Right.
You're taking testosterone.
And there was some comments from people, like I made the comment, like I was just a little bit confused. Somebody goes, oh, they just haven't transitioned yet. Well, then you're not trans. Yeah, this whole thing about identification is just, not identification, but identifying is just silly to me. It's what sparks all of this shit that like, where does it end? At that point, where does it end? I'm poor, but I present as a rich person. That doesn't make it true.
You can't
like, it just doesn't make it true. You can't
just walk into the bank and be like, hey, I identify as someone who has $100,000 in my bank account. So
and
you better put the $100,000 back in my bank account or I'm going to call the cops. No.
Yeah, people go to jail for that.
According to me, there was $100,000 in my bank account. They're playing games. I identify as someone who's got $100,000 in my bank account. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
And people are going to say that we're mocking, but no, I mean, that's literally what it is. It's, I've got no problem with anybody that wants to live their life the way they want to live their life. My problem comes in is when the way they live their life interferes with my right to live my life the way I want to live mine.
Yeah.
That's the only time it interferes.
Yep.
But when you say you have to do this, no, I don't. There's no rule that says I have to do anything. Same way as you're trying to enforce the same rules on me that you're trying to fight, and that doesn't work. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, because those same people are the ones that get offended when you talk about the God and devil and be like, they don't exist, and you can't make me believe them. Well, then you can't make me believe you.
Wasn't it like 2 years ago, there was a male weightlifter, because there was a trans female who was a man that went into weightlifting and set like Canada's female weightlifting record, right? And this guy came up and said, I identify as female, put me in the contest. And they put him in the contest, and he broke every goddamn last record that this person had put up. And the trans person came out and was like, this isn't fair. It's like, you almost got it. Just keep going a little bit further. You're almost there. You almost understand now. Like you're so close.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I've got no problem with trans people wanting to do sports. It's just that this gender slippery shit is ridiculous. And this particular skier, I think, has set the movement back years. And it's not going to get mainstream coverage because it's a female competing against females. So what pronouns do I respect at that point? You're in a women's contest against other women.
Yeah, that's confusing.
But you're trans and I'm supposed to call you a man? Well, then you'd be a cheater because you're a man in a women's contest. I just don't understand the idiocracy of this one. Again, no shade towards the athlete. They're obviously a very talented athlete. And everybody that can compete at that level deserves to be able to compete against people of their own biological makeup, in my opinion. So I've got no problem with this on the surface. It's just weird to me. It's just, how can you call yourself trans?
Yeah.
If you haven't transitioned.
Doesn't make sense.
Would it be
to
pre-trans? Me. Are you a pre-trans? Well, after the Olympics, I'm going to transition. But I wanted to compete and get a fair shot. That's even almost more fake in this reporter's opinion. That's almost more fake.
It makes about as much sense as a frog riding a horse.
As a dick-flavored lollipop?
Transition to meme of the week. For those of you who couldn't see it.
I'll bring mine up. It's pretty funny.
So mine is you know, it's kind of self-explanatory. It says you laugh at the stupidest things, and then it says me. No, I don't. And the things I laugh at. Take me home, country toad. And it's got a picture of a toad on a horse.
I do find myself laughing at random stupid shit all the time. Sometimes uncontrollably.
So, pretty simple country toad riding a horse.
Well, for me this week with the release of the Epstein files, which I'm sure we're going to be covering in future episodes.
Oh my God, I
went with something a little more dark.
Dark meme. It's not funny because it's true. It's got George Costanza from Seinfeld eating a pizza, and it says the pizza party I get when I work hard, and a little boy talking to the Satan says the pizza party the owner of my company gets when I work hard. Yeah,
being real with Baphomet.
you get 2 pieces of pizza, and he gets to sell his soul to the devil. Sounds about
There's
right.
been some really weird shit come out with the Epstein files. You know, one thing, and just to touch on it just a little bit, again, I think we're going to cover this more extensively later, but a lot of people were coming out, and the word ice cream appears all the time. And in context, it said, hey, there's this and that, and then there's ice cream for the girls. And people were like, oh my God, it's a male gay stripper, because that's the code word that the DOJ put out. I'm like, y'all, Y'all don't get it, man. Ice cream is cocaine. And it's always been cocaine since forever. Like, go back to Master P. He's the ice cream man. Because he's got that He's got that yayo. But anyway, I'm sure we'll touch on all that kind of shit down the road.
Who wants to go skiing?
Yeah, who's got 2 thumbs and wants to go skiing? This guy.
Oh, so the Epstein files, those are going to be some pretty hot takes going on in there.
Oh, you're really forcing these transitions.
I don't know what else to do.
You are forcing these transitions.
I don't know.
You sound a little bit like just a little further in your Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow.
Kachiga.
All right, well, you can bring it up because I do have it, and this is kind of a hot take. This week,
Ouch.
Gene Simmons
I got burned.
is doubling down after facing backlash for saying hip-hop doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He told People magazine he stands by everything he said and denied any racist intent behind his wording. Simmons also reignited the debate today with a new X post writing, "Interestingly, people get upset by opinions. Too bad. Fact, rock and roll, jazz, blues, hip-hop all had roots in black music. No question about that. My question, however, is, when are Led Zeppelin and AC/DC being inducted to the Hip-Hop Hall of Fame?" He's kind of got a point.
Yeah. I mean...
Why is Tupac in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I do tend to agree with that, since there is a hip-hop Hall of Fame. It's not. I mean,
is it because they were sampling rock music?
Deal that they do, like they do rock music. Only some of them.
Yeah, look, man, we know this for a fact because I've learned a lot about music engineering, and you do music engineering. You can take a rock beat and you can either speed it up or slow it down. You can turn it into something that is completely not, and it can fit a lot of things. Like you could make a rock beat into a hip hop beat by adding some other instruments, by making it longer and stretching it out to where the beat wasn't quite so fast. Like, there's lots of things you can do in music, but that doesn't change the fact that that's where that sample came from.
Yeah.
And this has always been my biggest problem with musical artists who are like, you will buy our shit, and then they go out and use all kinds of samples and don't pay anybody anything for them. Well, it's a tribute. No, motherfucker, it's the same. If the rules apply to me, they apply to you. That's beside the point, though.
See, and here's...
you've got pure rap artists, hip-hop, that is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A couple of these, I would say, are great, like Run DMC. I can kind of see that one.
Here's my thing. A traditional Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, yes, I would agree. But unfortunately... I don't know if you've noticed, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is more of a ranking for people who just sell a ridiculous amount of music or make a ridiculous... So it really should just be the Music Hall of Fame. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should just be renamed because they started putting other people from other genres in there just because they had a significant impact on music, or because someone else, who's a famous rock star studied them, like Dolly Parton.
Right, but Beyonce,
is in the Rock and Roll
Beyonce came
Hall
out
of
with
Fame.
a rap album. Beyonce came out with a country album. She's not going to be put into the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Let's hope not.
But she might be put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. By calling it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you should be limiting it to rock and roll.
We should,
period.
But they don't, because I mean, look, like I said, look who's in it. You've got Michael Jackson's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You've got Dolly Parton's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, he's one of the few pop artists that's actually in there, because they do have an aversion to pop music.
Yeah, it's more like I said, it's turned in more to a music Hall of Fame than it is just a rock Hall of Fame.
As far as total record sales, where's the Backstreet Boys? Where's NSYNC? Where's New Kids on the Block then? They don't like pop. But hip hop, that's fine. And the reason is simple. They're trying to appeal to a bigger demographic. That's why. But again, these bands are not going to get into a hip hop type Hall of Fame. They're just not. And my other problem with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is they're putting these people in. And again, I've got no problem with these artists. These are all very talented artists and their music is very good. I just don't think it would necessarily belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You're getting people like Dave Matthews Band, who has never rocked nor rolled in their life. They're strictly pop. And then you've got other bands from like the 80s that were super well known and aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, there are fringe cases. Run DMC, Beastie Boys. I can see that kind of shit.
I'm looking at the list now. You've got A Tribe Called Quest.
That they have never rocked nor rolled.
Beastie Boys, Bee Gees, the Beach Boys.
And that was disco, for Christ's sake.
Barry Mann.
That wasn't
Cynthia Well, Aretha Franklin.
That was soul.
Yep. Al Green.
Also soul.
Yep. ABBA.
I don't even know what to classify ABBA. Like, legitimately. Okay, look, Bo Diddley you can make a case for because a lot of the stuff he was doing with guitar, that really translated to rock and roll. And I'm not saying rock and roll doesn't have roots in black music. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying rap isn't rooted in rock and roll.
Yeah, no.
And I tend to agree with him on this. He's taking a lot of shit for it because they're calling him a racist and everything else. It's like, this isn't really about being a racist.
Cher's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh my God. Her and her auto-tune. Good Lord. I don't know. It's one of those situations that I'm thinking he's got a point, and maybe he didn't make the point.
People are just trying to make it racist. Yeah.
Maybe he didn't make the point as softly as he could have, but he's got a point.
Yeah.
Because
Eminem,
a band like Pearl Jam would never get into Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
No. Well, I mean, Sting technically should because of his work with when Puffy redid the I'll Be Watching You. Def Leppard has been sampled numerous times. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Hip Hop Hall of Fame if that's how we're going to go about it. So yeah, I mean the door should swing.
How about
both
Aerosmith
ways.
with Run DMC?
Yep, Aerosmith should be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame for sure.
What I'm saying is they're setting a standard for one side but not for the other. If the standard works both ways, I've got no problem with it.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue comes up. And again, he could have probably put this in a better way, but I don't have any real problem with the wording that he used. But some people are going to because, I mean, if you call a rock these days, it's going to start an argument on the fucking internet.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the way that it is. But I thought this was an interesting topic. And, I mean, Gene Simmons knows a little something about rock and roll. And we do know a little something about music.
Just a little.
We should really bring back a music show at some point. Not necessarily on here, but yeah, we should do that. We used to be good at that. It just got to be such a slog.
Too much hip hop. I'm not afraid to say it.
It was all hip hop. It was almost all hip hop. Almost all rap, yeah. And it day in, day out, even when we tried to do a day that was dedicated just to other stuff, people would be like, play this. It's like, no, we're doing this. All right, fuck you. We're not watching. Well, then you weren't here for the content anyway. You were just here to get your shit fucking heard. You're not looking for an honest fucking feedback if you don't come back tomorrow when we're doing that type of music. So that's the problem with the review shows these days, but that's kind of a side point to this. We still got a few minutes, don't we?
5.
Because we are trying to do a slightly...
I tend to agree with this take, though. I think the door should swing both ways.
I concur. You want to do one more really, really short topic and then we'll sign out?
Sure.
All right, pull that down so I can pull this up.
I forgot.
And you pull it to that. You pull that right up to that. You're rigging the vote at this point.
I didn't mean to do that. I forgot that was there.
Yeah, I got to find it again. Let me find it again. This isn't really VTuber drama, I wouldn't say, but it does kind of work a little bit as VTuber drama, at least in my eyes. It's something that VTubers do. I don't know where the fuck it's at now. I just showed it to you like 10. Oh, there it is. Okay. I just showed it to you like 10 minutes ago. Okay, you can bring it up.
And pacow.
So this is a post from a VTuber who puts this username out on blast on their X and says, please keep your disrespectful comments to yourself when watching streams. I'm really disappointed in some people's etiquette.
Then
don't people understand that this is just attention seeking and you're just giving them what they want?
No, they don't.
And that's where my reply came in is, or hear me out, either ignore it, block the user, or have a mod ban them. What good does it do to put an attention-seeking viewer's name out there on blast and let them know they got to you? This seems counterproductive.
And give them the attention they seek, because people are going to go look at their profile and be like, oh, who's this? And you never know. You might actually turn somebody onto them and be like, oh, well, this person's not so bad. They actually got some decent content.
Yeah, this is the same shit from all the people in the VTuber space that were going, Burnt Peanut's a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And then people flood over there to see what the fucking hubbub's about, because that's what people do on the internet. It's fucking them saying, you can't become a VTuber because we won't accept you. You got to be this way to be a VTuber. So people go out and get models made or make models themselves and then say, I'm a VTuber, because it's despite the people making these posts. They're counterproductive, and it doesn't do you any good to put it out there like that. Again, I understand the sentiment, you know, like but when you let people know they get to you, they're going to fucking pounce on that shit.
Oh yeah.
They're absolutely going to pounce on that. And I just thought this would be a good little life lesson for, content creation is, even when I get a negative comment, I'll usually respond to it. If it's really, really negative and stupid, like where it brings nothing to the conversation, I'll usually just shadow ban the user, meaning they can see my channel and they can still watch my videos, but they can think they're interacting with everything, but nobody else can see them nor me, which is a great feature YouTube has. But I will typically have a conversation with somebody that's got a valid point, or at least is attempting to make a valid point. And this isn't that at all, though. This is somebody that was literally attention seeking, and you gave it to him. And all you're doing is letting people know now that when you go into your stream and you do shit like this, it gets to you.
Yep.
And now that nowhere ever has that stopped it. And it's going to happen with more people, because now people are going to be like, well, it's going to bother her, so we're going to keep saying shit like this. Like, again, you're creating your own problem, and you don't realize it, much like kind of the artist community is right now with all their terms of service and their copyright ownership shit. They're creating the user for AI, and they don't know it. So I just thought we'd end on that, because it's an interesting little, I thought, life lesson for today. It doesn't need a whole lot of discussion.
Life lessons.
Why you keep doing the Lightning McQueen thing? Every time you do that, that's what I hear. I know, but every time you do it, that's what I hear.
Listen, I don't know. It's just the sound effect that's in the forefront of my mind right now. I
hope to God you learn to use sound effects. Wait a minute. Does this come through? I think that comes through, right?
I mean, I heard it. So
yeah, okay, we'll see if it shows up on the recording.
Technically, it should come through.
I can't hear it, and I haven't ever been able to figure out why I can't hear it.
But
I know that I can't hear it at all.
Really?
Yeah, it's just one of those buttons on my interface.
How weird
that I can use
a sound effect that you can't hear.
Yeah, I mean, I could do all kinds of sound effects, but like I probably shouldn't, because most of them are for stream. Hang on. I don't have the Go XLR app open. We won't mess with that this week. But I know that I can hear those, but I don't think you can hear those. They only play when my samples, I think they only play when I'm broadcasting. So if I'm recording, it'll play and it'll show up in the mic. Or if I'm streaming, it'll play and show up in the mic. But I don't think it shows up over my microphone. I don't know. You want to do it? You want to do a scientific test real quick? Because we do like science here. All right, so let's go. I don't remember which sample's which, so if there's something here that's going to get me canceled, so be it. Oh, that's just Vine Boom. Did you hear Vine Boom?
That.
Oh my God!
Oh.
Hey, I need to bring these up more often.
Yeah.
Eat my big juicy hairy ass.
Okay, wait a minute. I don't know how that got there.
Whoa. Hey.
I don't know how that got there.
Calm down.
I don't know how that got there. Yeah, that's what that deserves, yeah.
Moral of the story for this week, everybody. I forgot.
There we go. Okay, we're going to play with this for next week. This could be fun.
Until next
This could be a lot of
time.
fun. Bye.